隨住加拿大嘅熱門移民城市多倫多同埋溫哥華，佢哋嘅生活指數節節上升之後，咁唔少人咧都會選擇去咗卡加利或者係愛民頓呢啲城市，希望可以降低生活指數。咁其實喺加拿大有唔少城市同埋小鎮，佢哋都係一個非常之好嘅生活選擇。今日我哋非常高興可以邀請到位於卑詩省西北部嘅公立學院 Coast Mountain College 海岸山學院嘅代表 Jenny 上嚟同我哋做訪問，介紹下呢個城市同埋學校。Hello， 歡迎收睇而家有天恩，我哋專門分享移民加拿大你要知道嘅嘢。我係 Lily。對移民加拿大有興趣，即刻聯絡我哋做個免費諮詢啦！我哋天恩係加拿大持牌移民顧問公司，有超過26年經驗，怕佢簽揾天恩。咁我哋非常開心咧，今日邀請到海岸山學院 Coast Mountain College 嘅代表 Jenny， 今日嚟同我哋分享講解嘅。Hello Jenny， 歡迎你。
Hi， 大家好。
係非常好，咁咧我哋知道咧，即係好多朋友咧都可能會即係而依家新嘅香港嘅朋友啦，好多時候除咗溫哥華或者傳統嘅城市多倫多、溫哥華呢啲地方之後咧，都會揀去 Calgary 啊或者其他啲可能生活成本低啲嘅地方。咁其實咧，除咗呢啲地方之後咧，都好多唔同嘅小鎮啊或者城市啊，其實可能大家都唔知道嘅。咁今日我哋邀請到嘅海岸山學院咧，就會係位於卑詩省西北部嘅一個地方。咁我哋都知道 Jenny 喺嗰度咧就住咗一段時間啦，可唔可以同你分享下你喺嗰個地方住嘅 Terrace 呢個城市住嘅經驗啊，同埋你嘅感受係點樣咧
？Okay，大家好，我係 Jenny 啦，Coast Mountain College International Student Recruitment Coordinator。我講廣東話咧唔係好好啦，所以I'm probably gonna use like Cantonese and English mix. So please excuse me. So 我喺溫哥華住咗差唔多12年。And then about 5 years ago, I moved up to the Northwest BC, which is in Prince Rupert. I lived for 1 year, and then the second year I moved to Terrace, and this is my 5th year in Terrace. So it has been a very, very amazing experience. So, you know, many people, they would just, I guess, when they think about Canada, most of the time they would think about Toronto, Vancouver, Edmonton, Calgary, those places, right? Which makes sense because it's more accessible. We have international airports right there, and people can just flew in right into that cities, and it's, you know, really resourceful, and you can access to everything. So moving up to the Northwest BC really made me a bit nervous, and I remember my mom keep calling me a few days before I moved up and be like, "Is everything okay? You know, what are you doing up there?" and all that kind of thing, right? So it's a different lifestyle, I should say. So Vancouver is pretty much like busy city, you know, crowded, traffic jams probably, and all that kind of things, right? But in the Northwest BC is definitely a different lifestyle to me personally. And people are more laid back, and we have a lot of outdoor activities right here. I'm sure Vancouver and other places do have outdoor activities, but outdoor activity out here is so accessible. So you have trail everywhere, you have lakes, it's beautiful. So if you're someone who are wanting to move away from city life, you know, I can imagine Hong Kong, China, or probably like Taiwan is way, way, way busier than Vancouver, right? But if you're looking to move away from the busy lifestyle or the older, you know, way of living, and you want a bit more quiet, less crowded communities and a smaller community, I personally think that Coast Mountain College offer a lot of opportunity. And the other thing I should add is also cost of living, which we're probably going to touch more later on. But cost of living in the Northwest BC compared to Vancouver definitely is quite a difference. Even though the price right now in the Northwest BC is probably picking up, but still is way lower if we are comparing it to Vancouver and Toronto. And I'm happy to share a bit of like the estimated cost of living and our program fee and all that later on as well.
可唔可以請你同我哋介紹下海岸山學院同埋學校係有啲咩特色嘅咧？
Maybe I'll share a bit of where we located, and then how do we look like. I do have some photos that I can share with you guys just to give you. I love photos because I think that helps people to visualize how this place is like. So I thought just to share a bit of a picture and where we actually located. So You can see the picture on the screen right here. It's actually 20 minutes away from our campus. So this is how we look like. As you can tell from our name, Coast Mountain College, our campuses, our region are surrounded by mountains, ranges of mountains. So it's a really beautiful region. So looking at the map here, we are located in the province called British Columbia. If you're not familiar with the map of Canada, British Columbia, in short, BC, is actually located in the west coast of Canada. And as you can see on the screen, Vancouver. So everyone probably pretty much know where Vancouver is. So that's where our international student will fly into Vancouver. And then they would take a domestic flight from Vancouver, flying into the Northwest region. So that yellow circle is basically where our campus region are. So we're actually located in the Northwest region of British Columbia. So we have 5 campuses, but there's only 3 campuses offer international program. And that is Prince Rupert. So Prince Rupert is by the coast. It's sort of like Vancouver coast, right? The Lower Mainland. And then moving on, if you drive inland for 1.5 hours in, you will hit the city of Terrace. That's where I'm currently located at. And then when you drive another 2.5 hours, it will hit the town called Smither. So Prince Rupert, Terrace, and Smither are 3 campuses that we offer international program at this point. And showing you a bit of a picture here, we got a lot of questions that how the weather looked like up here, which is probably one of the concern of many people. So 其實冬天喺 Terrace 啊 Smith 啊唔係好凍嘅 if compared to like Saskatchewan or Manitoba, Regina. I think they hit like -40 on average or -30 degrees Celsius on average. But so if we're going to compare to other Canadian provinces like those provinces, I would say like the Northwest region weather is considered mild, right? But if you would compare to Vancouver, I would think we are slightly colder than Vancouver. This is the weather chart that I was talking about. So Prince Rupert, it's by the coast. So I would always think, because I lived there for 1 year before, and I always compare Prince Rupert and Vancouver weather. They're very similar. So they're warmer than Terrace and Smither, I should say, and they get more rain. So Smither is colder because it's inland. But again, if we were compared to other Canadian provinces, I would say the weather in the Northwest BC is considered mild. So these are a couple of things that we do in the region. We're not traveling like an hour or 2 hours to those places for lakes and all that. And I love the lakes up here. It's like jade blue, green, like and it's just like 15 or 30 minutes away from town. I'm just showing a bit of some picture of our campuses, the 3 campuses that we just mentioned earlier. So there is Terrace. Oops, sorry. That's Terrace campus. So this is how our Terrace campus look like. And down there, as you can see, the newly renovated building, that's where the building I'm currently at. Then this is the Smither campus. So Smither, again, is surrounded by ski hill. So a lot of people will, wintertime, they'll go into to town, like Smither, for skiing or any winter sports. And Prince Rupert, again, is a campus by the coast. I personally love Prince Rupert campus a lot. It's by the oceans, you see a lot of people hanging out by the oceans and all that kind of thing. I will talk a bit about our special feature, something that our Coast Mountain College are popular or famous of. So it's called experiential place-based learning. So basically, we will have student or the instructor will bring student outside of the four-wall classroom, right? They won't keep student in class and be like, okay, let's look at the PowerPoint today. But a lot of the time, the instructor will bring the student, out in the region, out in the community. So for example, our geography class, they will go up on the glacier, right? So between the border of BC and Alaska, the states. So they will do stuff in the border, they'll go up to the glacier. So one of the picture you can see down there is actually a picture of field school. Okay, so this is an offering, this exciting offering for new international students. So there is, we have this scholarship called International Student Entrance Award, IC. So IC only open for selected regions. So as you can see on the screen, Hong Kong, China, or Taiwan, Thailand, Vietnam, and all those places are included. So if you are applicants from this country, you will be eligible to apply for this program if you meet the eligibility. And there's no GPA or credits needed for this award. It's an entrance award. You move on to why choose Coast Mountain College. So Coast Mountain College is a smaller class size. So most of our class will go up to 18 to 32 students, and that's the most. And as you guys know, that in a bigger university in Canada, usually the first or second year classes, it can feel, between like 80 to even up to 300 students per class. So a lot of our international students actually came here and be like, oh, I didn't expect that, right? So small size college has a benefit or advantage of having small size classroom. And because it's a small size classroom, so instructor, the relationships between instructor and student are really close. You always see like instructor and student walk down for coffee, chat on the hallway. And those are very common things that you see, in Coast Mountain College. And reasonable cost of living, of course, we talked about that before. And the other things that I thought is worth mentioning is high rate of student remaining in the regions after completion of programs. So we did a survey and study, collecting feedback from international students, and they're pretty responsive. So we got a pretty good data. And the data that we got is, I'm just looking at the number here. So 96.7% of our students who graduated actually choose to remain in the region. And that's due to a couple of reasons, right? So the high job demand up in the region. So a lot of students, when they come, so for example, if I'm a student, my spouse come to the region with me, he or she will get an open work permit, right? So while I'm studying, my spouse will be working in the field already. And my spouse probably come with like her education background or work background. So they got hired pretty much right away. And then I probably have kids, and then my kids go into school. So after 2 years people are choosing to stay in the region because they already settled down and they already expand their community connections in town. So that's one of the reasons that we found, which is very interesting.
唔該晒 Jenny， 想請你同我哋分享下海岸山學院有啲咩熱門嘅課程，同埋學生畢業之後佢哋嘅就業情況係點樣嘅？
And I'll show you a bit of a programs, like famous program or popular program for international student. We got asked a lot of these programs listed up here. And so at Coast Mountain College, we do offer certificate, diploma, post-degree, and some trades program. Now, certificate program usually is a 1-year program. Diploma is 2 years, and post-degree is 2 years. So post-degree, basically, you would need to have a bachelor degree, a 3 or 4 years bachelor degree in order to be eligible for post-degree diploma. But for certificate and diploma, you only need your high school grade. So Applied Coastal Ecology is, I think we are the only institution offer this program. So it's a combination of biology, oceanography, and geography. So it's a really interesting program. And this is one of programs that they get to do stuff or lesson out there a lot. And social service worker and West Coast culinary program is another programs, which is a diploma, a 2 years diploma with co-op. So basically students not only learning how to cook and put things, bake and put food together, but they actually learn the indigenous way of making food. So it's a really interesting program. It's like you learn the local indigenous knowledge of how they deal with berries, how do they hunt salmon or catch salmon. And there's a lot of food school out there in the field to learn how to gather your food in the region or from the woods or forest, you call it. How do they put food together? And of course, the co-op experience will be another valuable experience for students as well. And we do have business diploma, 2 years diploma. And we also have post-degree business diploma as well, which is usually filled with international students. And a new program that we will be offering in 2024 September is our professional accounting in post-degree. So it's a 2 years program. This actually preps students if you're someone who are interested in accounting. This is a program that prep you to become a CPA, Certified Professional Accountant. And the other programs that is very, very famous as well is an engineering certificate. So this is for students who graduate from high school or done something in science or engineering field, but they're not sure which particular field that they want to go in. So engineering, as you know, there's various streams, right? So there is like mechanical engineer, electronic engineer, computing science engineer, and all that kind of thing. So this is a program for students who just spend a year at Coast Mountain College and take all the basic science, math, engineering programs, and they're able to transfer to another BC institutions to pursue their degree. Right, the degree in engineering, computing science, or technology science. And early childhood education, we have a 2 years diploma, and associate degree in science and arts is the first and second year university. This is a program for students who are not ready for university for 4 years, big classes, it may be a bit of expensive, that they're not willing to pay expensive program fee. They will start taking university credit courses first year and second year, or just first year, and then transfer the credits to pursue their bachelor degree in another institution in BC. And just keep in mind, because we are public institutions, all the credits that you take can be transferred to majority of the public institutions like UBC, UVic, BCIT, and all those public institutions in British Columbia. Okay, employment opportunity. Yeah, this is exciting. I have so much to share, but I better keep it short for you guys. So there is a very, very high demand in the Northwest BC. Everywhere they are hiring. So I'll share a bit of our experience with international students. So none of them having trouble to look for job, either part-time job while they're studying, or once they complete their study, they're looking, to get into a full-time employment. Very less likely that I heard student coming to us and be like, oh, I can't find a job. No. I'm just going to share an experience that I just had, the conversations that I just had with a daycare and preschool owner. And of course, it's a small town, everyone sort of know each other, right? So, and they had to pay give a higher, I guess, salary pay to have someone from Vancouver for early childhood educator, paying them more in order to get them in town to fill the vacancy. So that's how much we need early childhood educator. And most of our early childhood education students actually got employed, or they already know that they will get employed or being employed at the daycare or preschool before they even graduate from the programs. So that is a real high demand job. Another things that I have on my screen here is mining and oil gas industry. So LNG project, you guys probably some of you heard about that before. If not, try to Google it. It's one of the biggest Canadian government's project. So it's a liquefied gas industry, energy and gas industry. So it's actually the main site is located in Kitimat, BC, which is about 45 to 50 minutes drive away from Terrace. So it attracts thousands of individual and family into this project. So some of them come in the shorter terms, like 3 months or 2 months. Some of the employee come for a longer term, like 1 year or 2 years. So they bring in their family. So they could come from different province in Canada or a different part of the world. So it creates tons of job opportunity, and usually LNG projects, they pay very high for their employee. The other things that is growing right now, and this is a picture probably I took it probably 8 or 9 months ago, and of course the infrastructure was pretty much built right now. We passed by this hospital. So this is a hospital, we pass by it almost every day. It's a small town. So there's this expansions of local hospital in Terrace right now. So as you can imagine, they are going to finish work completions. They're going to finish this project by next year, around, I guess, towards the end of the year, 2024. So you can imagine there will be an increase of demand in healthcare related workers, X-ray technicians, or nurses, and social service worker. So these are the job opportunities that will create in town, will take place in town. And all this employment or this opportunity, they need people from outside, basically, right? And this employer, or I guess employee, come with families. So they come with their kids and all that. So that's affecting or needing increase the demand of early childcare education in town as well.
講到就業機會嘅話，咁其實 Terrace 同埋其他城市相比嘅話，有啲咩優勢咧？
So one thing about employment conditions up here is, and I'll share a case maybe with you. So we have a student who worked as a like a banker in the local bank in Terrace. And then he moved down to Vancouver for the same position, same company in the Lower Mainland. And that's what he shared with me, that usually the salary in the outside of the Lower Mainland, so outside of Vancouver area, are slightly higher because we are more rural and remote, right? So, and of course, in general, I would say that the salary payment outside of Lower Mainland are usually slightly higher. I don't have the number with me, but that's something that we found from our career department data, is usually the salary range in the Northwest BC or outside of the Lower Mainland are about 10 to 18% more pay than what you would get down in the Lower Mainland. And I think the advantage of it is, you're having higher pay and lower cost of living. If this is something that you're looking for as a start coming to Canada, start as an international student, and you don't want to spend too much money on various things, and this might be a benefit, to consider.
好，係咪你上述啱啱介紹嘅課程咧，佢哋都可以申請呢個 PGWP， 即係我哋嘅畢業後工簽嘅咧？
Yes. So most of the programs, again, if it is a program that is 8 months or more, then yes, it will be. Those programs will help you to be eligible for to apply for a PGWP. And we have one program called Education Assistant Program Certificate, even though it's a 9-month program. But because this program is offered online, you still have to come to Canada because of the practicums. But because it's online, you won't be eligible for PGWP based on the current IRCC conditions. And of course, there might be update changes in the future. But at this point, then this is the only programs that you won't be eligible for PGWP.
可唔可以同我哋分享下學校嘅收生標準係點樣嘅咧？例如啲英文嘅程度咧，因為我哋都好多朋友可能英文咧就話一般般嘅話，咁又係咪可以即係上咗英文堂之後，咁就可以免卻咗啲英文嘅成績咁樣咧？
If students are graduated from senior high school in Hong Kong, they do need to come with a English proficiency test, right? So we do have a list of English proficiency tests on our website that we accepted at Coast Mountain College. So usually the big tests like IELTS, Duolingo, TOEFL will be on the list. So for Duolingo, that's one of the tests that we recently, ever since like COVID, we have been accepting a lot Duolingo. If you're coming with Duolingo, it will be the overall score of 105. And if you're coming with IELTS, it will be overall band score of 6.0, and each section no less than 5.5. Now, some students might come and be like, oh, brush up a bit of my English language. I need a bit of help. I don't want to just go to, take the test and, come to the college directly. So we do have a couple pathway program, English pathway program. So with a couple language school like ILAC, ULI, which located in Richmond. So those are the programs that they do offer English pathway programs online. Or in person, you can come to the institutions in Canada to take that. And we have students who spend 4 months, depending on your level, right? So 4 months, 8 months, or sometimes like 6 months in getting all this English level, right? So once you hit the English 12 pass level in that institution, you will be able to apply for our programs.
新嚟係啱啱嚟喺香港嚟嘅朋友啦，咁可能嚟到一個新嘅環境咧，都會有啲緊張啲嘅。咁學校會唔會有啲咩學生嘅服務啊，或者有啲可能學會啊，可以幫到佢哋快啲融入呢個社會咧？
So in school or within school, we do have an EAL support, so English as Second Language support. So we have a particular language specialist, which years and great experience that she carried. I love talking to her. She will be the main person to help our student in terms of language transitions. And I don't know how to write this essay in English. Can you assist me? And of course, she won't be writing it for the student, but she will be able to guide, and she understands the backgrounds and all the culture shocks and different style of learning. So we do have actually 3 learning specialists, and one of them is the EAL, English as Second Language Learner Specialist. And then we do have another 2 learning specialists who focus on other areas as well, for example, math, right? Or how to manage my work and study, right? I'm having a bit of a time management problems here. And we do have a team of 3 to 4 international student support team, which all of us, including myself, are either RCIC or VISIA. So we are able to help with your immigration concern, your study permit extensions, or your some of your applications with immigrations. And we also come with a diverse background. So we are coming from, we spend times outside of Canada and in Canada. So we understand the international students' experience when they've just arrived in a new place, especially the place that is rural in Canada. So those are the support you will be able to get on campus or in school. Now, outside of the community, because majority of the populations, they are mostly Indigenous people and the local Canadians, right? So for example, if I'm gonna again compare to Vancouver, you got diverse people from different part of the world. So you're able to feel very connected with people who speak the same language, maybe, or from the same culture background. And I heard from one parents told me at the fair that, I want to send my kids to a smaller town, that people usually just speak English, which is what happened in the Northwest region, because I want my kids to be able to pick up English language. I was like, I never thought of that, right? So that is another thing that our student will have a chance to utilize basically English language primarily.
Perfect. 咁對於想嚟加拿大讀書嘅朋友仔啦 ，Jenny 有冇啲咩 tips 或者有啲建議可以俾我哋嘅朋友仔咧？
I would say this is an adventurous journey for students. So if you're coming, for example, let's talk about Hong Kong. You're coming from that background. It's a completely different environment and living style, right? So our student, this particular student from Hong Kong, he already have filled with expectations and what to expect, and he told me that he really want to get away from the BC lifestyle, right? So he come with expectations and preparations. So I think no matter where you go, or in Canada, or you choose Coast Mountain College or not Coast Mountain College, you always come with the great preparations and a mindset to be open and just engage in the community. Because at first I found that some student would be like, this is a smaller town, there's nothing here, it's not resourceful and all that kind of thing. But once you prepare yourself and you actually see that, it's actually not far away from Vancouver, but then it's 1.5 hour flight. So during long weekend, I'll take a flight down there, do some shopping, meet some friends, and then I'll come back again. And you started to embrace the closeness and the small towns connections, I would say, in town. So come with preparations, being open-minded, try not to think like, this is a small town, nothing to offer. There is a lot to offer. It's just a different way of lifestyle and opportunity up here.
好，非常多謝 Jenny 今日同我哋嘅分享咧，講解得係非常清晰嘅。咁好啦，今日嘅分享咧就會嚟到呢度。如果你想了解多啲關於海岸山學院嘅話，咁歡迎你隨時可以同我哋天恩嘅專業顧問聯絡嘅。咁今日嘅分享就會嚟到呢度。如果你中意我哋條片，記得俾個 like 同埋 subscribe 我哋嘅 channel， 記得打開小鈴鐺就唔會錯過我哋最新嘅片段啦。唔該晒 Jenny，我哋下次見，拜拜。